Welcome, everybody, to another exciting episode of HomeKit Insider. You've got me, your host, as always, Andrew O'Hara. And holy smokes, this last week feels that it has been more than a week. It has been like months have passed since we last spoke because so much stuff has happened, right? So first we had the holiday weekend, so hope everyone had an amazing 4th of July, Independence Day. Hope everything was great. You guys are back getting into your rhythm. We're, kicking things off with a new week. Going to be a bunch of stuff coming out, I am sure. So I just hope everyone had a great holiday, right? But Friday last week was an even extra crazy day because we got to welcome my new daughter into this world. If you guys are watching the video, I am not holding her, but I can put a photo of her up on the screen because she's adorable. It is Ellie Jean. She came to us last Friday. We are so excited and thrilled to have her here. She has been such an amazing baby so far. Harrison has been a great big brother, just constantly checking in on her, and he's very good at narrating what she does. Baby crying, baby sleeping, where baby, all of the things. So it has been so much fun. So this whole week has just kind of just gone by so very fast. Like it was just a quick week. We had a quick weekend last weekend with the baby actually arriving, a whole quick week of work, then into a holiday weekend. I don't know how anything got done. It's just been a lot. But I'm so excited to be back talking with you guys because we have so much fun stuff to talk about. Per usual on the show, we have a few news items, a couple of quick hands-on, and it's a little bit about Vision Pro, wrapping up the episode because I have some thoughts on the new visionOS 26 stuff and where things are heading into the future with some new rumors from Ming Chi Kuo. So let's get into this thing. So Nuki, the Nuki smart lock is officially available in the US. Now, if you are watching the video, I am holding this guy up. It is really cool. One of my favorite smart locks that I have tested, and for continuous listeners of the show, you will know that they actually, the founders of Nuki were on the podcast, and we talked about this guy, what makes it a little bit different, like this really crazy motor that is on the inside. It actually can completely unlock in like less than a second, so it is by far the fastest smart lock that I've ever tested. It's also pretty reasonably priced, $159 here in the US. There is a bundle with a keypad, which I think is really, really useful for those who don't have a smartphone. So I'd very much recommend getting that. But I really like this smart lock. It's also magnetically powered. So there's a magnetic power cable. And I will be honest, before going into the podcast episode, I was like, man, it seems like a weird choice, right? To use like a magnetic, MagSafe-like charging cable on this. But they made a really good point. You can just charge it because it's a really long cable while it's still connected to your door. And then, should someone open the door, the magnetic cable just gives way. Like the reason MagSafe was invented is why they made their own version for the Nuki lock. So I really like that too. For Apple Home users, it is a Matter over Thread, so you can get really good battery life via Thread. Since it works with Matter, it'll work with Apple Home. It's a retrofit lock, meaning it's going to be on the inside of your door. It's going to be invisible on the exterior, and that does mean you're not going to get home key support here, so you're just going to have regular like Apple Home support, being able to lock and unlock, including automations, all of that great stuff. So really nice things here. I've been testing out for a while. I'm really happy with it. I will have a full review soon when things are not so crazy in my life. But if you're looking for a good retrofit solution, you've been holding out for something, this is definitely something to consider. Unless you're waiting for a home key or adding ultra wideband tech, because there's all these new things that are still coming in the world of smart locks. But at least we're getting some new ones. I really like the brushless motor, like the speed on this. That's easily one of my favorite features. Anyway, moving on, there is a link for it down below in the show notes if you want to check it out. Govee has 3 new floor lamps for us. And if you would have told me 2 years ago, that I would have become this fan of Govee, I would have argued with you. When I first kind of started seeing Govee products, they seemed very cheap. There was no Apple Home support. They were a little extra. They felt like they were for gamers and people who just really needed to plaster everything with RGB lighting. But now things have kind of shifted. So first, they're still pumping out products like crazy, which is good because it's keeping innovation going on in the industry. But there's some really unique, smart products that they're doing here. And everything that we're going to talk about today in this episode is Matter enabled, which means it'll work with your Apple HomeKit setup just out of the box. So the 3 new floor lamps, there's the Uplighter, This is the Uplighter floor lamp, and it has multiple sections on it. Now, I believe I saw this at CES. I think so. So it's like a disc light, and it's kind of like a dome on the top. It has upward facing, kind of like an aurora projector that's supposed to put these like relaxing, calming waves of light onto your wall or your ceiling. So that's shooting upward. There's a colorful band around that you can control with RGB lighting, so you can add additional accent lighting there. And then I think, based on what I was seeing, there's even lower downward facing white light that is more functional. So I can see putting this in somewhere like, maybe I'm just in my own head at the moment, but like a nursery where you want to have like some soft lighting going on that'll distract your toddler or your baby, but you also want some downward facing light where you can be functional and see what you're doing and all that stuff. So I think this is really cool. I think it'd be good for an office, a living room, anything like that. Really cool idea. 1,000 lumens of light output and $179. The next one is the Govee tree floor lamp. So this is my favorite of all the three here. And it doesn't even look like a smart product. I swear I've seen lights like this before that weren't smart. So it's really neat to have a smart version of it. So you have your tall, skinny pole, per usual on these floor lamps. Then there are 3 articulating square blocks that serve as the lights. So it's a little geometric. They pop on at different spots, and you can move them around and angle them where you want. It really, to me, looks like modern office vibes. Like that is kind of what I'm getting, or very stylish living room. It looks cool. And of course, all the photos show in like RGB, like bright, colorful blue, purple, pink lighting. But even just with white lighting and tunable white lighting where I can go warm to cool, anything like that would still be really useful for this. I just love the look of it. It looks modern, but not kind of like glitchy. Like it's just a good looking lamp in my opinion. So I like this one. I might have to try this one out myself. This is $169. So a little bit cheaper. You don't have like some projector going on, just 3 independently controlled lights. All works with Apple Home via Matter. Finally is the Torchiere light. This is a little bit the weirdest one of the lot in my opinion. The top of it is like slug shaped. Like it's literally like an arc, but like all rounded, and the bottom half of it is opaque, black, and then the top of it is clear, and then inside of it you can see 3 independent lighting sections. So it's not like kind of like the light behind me in the video or the other floor lamps that Govee has, that it's like very like the independent sections like kind of just move together. They're all blended, or there's a diffuser on there. There's no diffuser here. There's like literally 3 little chunks of it inside of this orange wedge shaped thing. Maybe it's like a Cheeto, like a cheese puff. Like that's the vibe I'm getting. A cheese puff on top of a lamp. You can angle it and get the lights. So it's not my personal favorite one. This does offer music syncing functionality, which is kind of cool. And this is priced at $149. So 3 new lights from Govee in their floor lamp series. Seriously, you guys know I was talking about the outdoor one that I thought was really cool, that I like a whole lot. It has motion sensing, like we've been using even for the dogs. Like they run out at night and it can pop on, light up the yard, turn off. So handy. The ice maker, the only Matter enabled ice maker that I know of, like come on, let's go. That's fantastic. I have it part of my good night scene. It shuts off and so it does not running, making noise throughout the night. So really cool. Govee's been doing some really nice stuff. So check any of those out if you're interested. Now we're going to talk audio. Now, I don't usually talk about just regular Bluetooth speakers on the show because they're not AirPlay. I like the AirPlay ones. They can be included into scenes and you can do more with automations and home setups, all of that stuff. But I love this brand and they have a new speaker coming out, so I wanted to talk about it anyway. This is the Marshall Middleton II. So there's a very expansive lineup of Marshall Bluetooth and Wi-Fi speakers, and this one is the middle end, I would say, or middle to slightly below middle end, because it is intended to be a portable one, not one of the bigger ones for your home. So something you can bring with you. And I do happen to have it. So if you're watching the video, you can get a nice little product demo while we're looking at it. So this is it. It is fairly chunky. Like I would say, it is the size of a brick. Brick vibes are what you're getting, like a regular red brick. It's about that, but maybe a tiny bit larger. So let's talk about some of the high points. It is Bluetooth, not AirPlay, has more than 30 hours of battery life in here, has 360-degree sound, so it does come from like all angles, which is really nice. There's even little vents on the side, as you can see, so there is sound coming out from the side, so you do get a much better, like when I was testing this today, much better stereoscopic sound with stuff coming out of the sides. And then when you're like behind it, you still can hear directly from it. So this is such a good speaker to bring with you places because you can set it down in like your yard and everyone can hear the music. So I love that about it. It has IP67 water resistance. That means this can withstand, rain, splashes of water, even being submerged in water for up to 30 minutes at a meter deep. So great for the pool. Falls into the pool, get it out, you should be fine. It has a built-in microphone, so you can use it as a speakerphone if you needed to do that. It can act as a power bank. There is a USB-C port that is used to charge it. You can plug in your phone and charge it up from the speaker, which is pretty handy. I mean, this thing has over 30 hours of playback time. I'm not going to need that. So if I'm out in the yard all day, even like 8, 12 hours, I can still leach a little bit of juice out of this and power up my phone. The battery is quite big on this speaker. It does include kind of like the typical Marshall things that I always appreciate and I want to call out because I want them to keep doing it. Getting a little off track, I loved like the early days of a lot of Apple, I say early days, and not that early, but a lot of Apple products that had the little nice accessories and touches in the box. Whether it was the Apple stickers, the original iPod that came, or the iPod Touch that had a little clear plastic stand included in the box with it. It was just a nice thing to have, and I really liked using them. Apple used to include, screen wiping cloths with the iPhones and the iPods to keep your screen clean. Those like little touches were nice to have. So Marshall still does some of those things. I mean, the packaging is always very nice, all recyclable, all paper, no plastic, anything like that. But it's got like their year stamped into like their cardboard packaging. Then it includes a little wrist strap. So it has like the iconic Marshall colors. It's like black on the outside and then red on the inside. So it just gives you kind of very vintage Marshall vibes. And little faux leather attachment to connect it to the side of the Middleton II. It connects right there on the top, I would say top right side. There's a little spot where you can attach the lanyard there. And then it includes a USB-C to USB-C cable. I am appreciative that it is Type-C to Type-C and not Type-A to Type-C, which it had been in the past. I know they switched these over a little bit ago, but this is my first new one I picked up in a while. The cables themselves are just nice cables. Like they're not nylon braided, which would have been a little bit better, but they still have like custom ends to them. I'm tired of getting like the crappiest USB-C cables in a box or something. Like I don't always need a USB-C cable, but sometimes it just breaks the illusion of the product when you have like something really sleek and nice and then a generic off-the-shelf part that is overly bulky and crappy and I know I'm not going to use. Like getting a slightly nicer cable like this out of the box with a Marshall makes me like, oh man, I want to use this cable. It's got like the Marshall insignia on the side and a really long neck to it, the overmold, so it's not going to have so much stress on that spot and hopefully will last longer. I just like those little touches. They've always done a good job with those little touches. So going back to the speaker, it also has very nice controls on the top. You can see there is a little light bar on the far left where you can see the battery life. So just visually a bunch of bars, and it's not 4 dots for those who aren't watching. It's like a full like 10 or so little LEDs. So you get a very granular display of the battery life. It has a metal knob in the middle. Marshall has always had fantastic physical controls. So you can press it down to like play pause, move it up and down to adjust volume, left and right to control tracks. Of course, you can answer a call or anything that way too, but it's just really nice to have a metal control button on these things. So many of them switch to like touch sensitive buttons, which is like fine, there's a place for those, but then you, especially for something like this, like you just want to smack it or like you just want easy control of the speaker. And these really nice tactile controls, we'll talk about tactiles in a few, but it's just a nice thing to have that I like to see. So I really like to see that on the speaker. Then you also have dedicated buttons for the bass and the treble. So you can move those up or down as you'd like. So you can literally control the mix of this thing from the top of the speaker itself. As far as audio quality goes, I think these are going to appease most people, but I have seen people who don't love the Marshall sound because it is Marshall sound. In my opinion, the speaker sounds very, very good. I like it better than most, but it is so well tuned for the kind of music that you would listen to like on an amp. So anything that has instruments, rock and classical, even just anything where there's some instrumentation going on sounds great. When I start listening to podcasts, it's like, it's not perfectly tuned for like spoken word, and even some poppy, like synth heavy stuff, maybe not the best and most accurate coming out of the Marshall, but for what I listen to, a lot of classics, a lot of rock, even a lot of current pop that's a little bit more on the rock side, like pop rock, alt rock, anything like that still sounds fantastic out of this speaker. But it's just very much like not edgy, but a little bit raspy. Like it just sounds great. It sounds really, really great, and they're known for that. And I feel like if you looked at this and you're like, wow, I like the look of that, then you will like the sound of it. Like I feel like they go hand in hand. You're not gonna love the look of this rock amp-inspired speaker, but not like that sound. I think they do overlap quite a bit, which is good. So you guys can pick this up now. There's a link for it in the show notes. It's just up on Marshall's website. Coming to other retailers halfway through the month or so. Check it out. Let me know what you guys think, but I always love a good speaker. Real quick, before we get into a few more topics on this episode, let's take a break and thank our sponsors. And the first one, I am really excited to talk about. I know I'm really excited to talk about a lot of things, which is absolutely true. It's not played up for the show, but I don't know how much I get to talk about it on the podcast itself, but I'm really interested in health and health tech. So for those that followed, I'm a type 1 diabetic, so I've always really been drawn to a lot of medical gadgets that allow me to keep a good eye on my health, whether it is connected smart scales that go into the health app and can tell me all this information about my body, whether it is like connected blood pressure cuffs. I've backed and followed several startups that were working on the diabetes space, from One Drop that had a Bluetooth connected meter. iHealth still has one that's decent, it's pretty good, but there's all these different things that are going on in the space. I've talked about the Dexcom sensors and my pump, the Tandem pump that they're working on new versions of. A bunch of really cool stuff is happening in the health space. And all of that insight into health is why I was really excited to choose Function or Function Health because of that. My biggest frustration has always been just dealing with doctors and insurance to get anything out of them. Like I'm trying to better my health, and yet trying to do anything always feels like I am pulling teeth, and getting any attention from your doctors to really talk about what is going on is always frustrating. Now, Function Health is not a doctor by any means, but it gives you the power to kind of control your own health and know what is going on in your body. So it's the only health platform that gives you access to a ton of data that most people do not see and make sense of that data. You can take over 100, you can take your test, a blood test, and you can test over 160 biomarkers from heart, hormones, inflammation, stress, all of these things. You can even add on additional things like multi-region MRI and CT scans and track those in one place with your like Function Health platform. So it's really cool. It's a near 360 view of your health that you can ask for and control and do. It's amazing to me that we have this kind of power over our health in 2025. You can see like your vitamin D levels, low levels can lead to different things. It's something I've been on for quite a while. There's all these different tests that you can look for nutrients for your skin repair and resilience, hormone imbalances that are going on, blood sugar swings that could be causing problems, or I can't even pronounce some of these words, but they're pointing to internal inflammation that can be written on your skin. There's just so much that you can learn about yourself. And this goes beyond like what I've been doing. Like I read, I download a whole bunch of apps, and I have little accessories and things I can do in my home. And this is the whole extra level of that. This is the next step for those that really want to understand their health and be healthier. So I'm super excited. I signed up for this. I'm going to try it out, get my blood test done, and see what is going on. And I will report back to you all guys, because I think it is super, super cool. So you guys can try for yourself. Function is actually offering a 160 plus lab test for only $365 to anyone who signs up between July 7th and July 10th. So a very short period of time. To learn more and get started, visit www.functionhealth.com/HomeKit. Seriously, I'm so excited by this. So I cannot wait to tell you guys what my tests reveal, and how they all go. We, of course, also have Shopify to thank for this episode. Shopify is the platform you need when you are starting or growing your business, but it's also great if you're just someone who likes to buy things online, right? There's so many benefits here. So if you are starting out a business, it's perfect. You can get a website up and going without having to know anything. Don't know how to code, don't know how to figure out shipping and tax information. Shopify handles that for you. They can also manage your inventory between physical and online locations. Just real easy, get a store going, start selling, like instantly. But you can also scale it. You can be a massive company and still be using everything through Shopify, getting really fancy with plugins and custom designs and all this extra stuff that you can do with Shopify, because it is literally the platform that grows from small to big. It covers everyone in between. I know so many of my favorite brands work with Shopify. Aviator Nation, 12 South, Allbirds, Nomad, there's so many. Moment, another fantastic one out there. All these big tech and luxury clothing brands that are using Shopify, and they're now these big known brands, and they started out and we're growing with Shopify. It's fantastic. As a customer, you're going to love it because it just creates a stable, reliable website to shop through. Makes it really easy to see your cart, manage your cart, and to check out. Another benefit for those companies out there, because they have a fantastically converting checkout process. When you go to buy on a Shopify-powered website, you can use Shop Pay. Literally, you just go to the checkout, they text you a code, and you enter it in, boom, you're done, checked out. It takes 2 seconds, really easy to do. You use Apple Pay, Google Pay, all of those things, so you can use any of your stored cards. Makes it super seamless to do. Then it kicks over to the Shop app, where you can track your order from fulfillment to delivery to even leaving a review after the fact. And as I have learned, the Shop app actually has all these extra benefits like rewards and loyalty stuff, and you can get like custom exclusive discounts for brands that you like, which is really neat. So you can literally just find brands that you like and then get custom offers for them, and then go shop through the Shop app, buy through that app, and get stuff delivered to your house. So it is super cool. They also work with the Wallet app, so they can kick over all your orders there, and you can see them next to all of your Apple Pay stuff and transactions, your Apple Card, whatever else you got going on. So there's so many cool benefits to Shopify. Turn your big business idea into success with Shopify on your side. Sign up for a $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/HomeKit. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/HomeKit. Shopify.com/HomeKit. So I was going around on Twitter, as I do, and I found this really neat project that I had to tell you guys about, because if anyone's going to love it, it's going to be my audience here. I'm going to butcher this name, right? This is not a pronunciation show. We're in a safe space, so no one's going to mock me, and I'm going to try my best to say it correctly, but Bas Vanderplug on Twitter has created this really, really cool modified version of a physical media player. I guess that's the easiest way to describe it. But basically what it is a cartridge player. It's a little housing, and you slide a cartridge into, and it can play something on like your TV or your computer or whatever it happens to be, right? That's the idea of it. But it's amazingly cool how we got to this point and what it can do. So Vanderplug, I'm hoping I'm saying that correct. They created a modified version of it. So it's based on this other project by the Stockpot. And that has been around for a little while now. And Vanderplug made a new version that's really specific for Apple users, not in the design of it, but in everything that he built was all really Apple specific, because all of his cartridges were for Apple media. And they look so good. I'm like, man, I want to buy all of these. The player itself looks to be about the size of a deck of cards, and the cartridges are just a little bit thicker, like a few business cards stacked together, like maybe like 8 business cards stacked together. So it's like a little bit long and skinny, and about 1/4 inch thick maybe. And then the player is about 1/2 inch thick. So this modified version actually insets the top of it where the labels go, the stickers, so that way they're not going to get rubbed off or anything like that. And there's a few other changes in there as well. Now this is all done just using NFC. So there is a free project that you can go and get. It is on Maker's World. You can download it. You can 3D print all this stuff. You can go buy the hardware that you need, which is just a tiny little USB computer board and a NFC card reader. So you pair this NFC card reader with this little board, and they give you some code, and it's all running on Home Assistant. So then you can put these little NFC chips into your cards, set them all up, and you can pick one up that says like Severance, and you slide it in. It reads the NFC chip. It sends it over to Home Auto. Home Assistant, sorry, I was blanking on the word, but sends it over to Home Assistant and then runs an automation of playing Severance on your Apple TV or your computer or whatever it is. And man, it looks so cool. So definitely check out the album artwork if you're listening to the podcast. You can see what these things look like, but it is an amazing little project. And I just love the idea of this. We just talked about with the Marshall speaker, how much I love like that physical tactility of controls and everything, and we lost a lot of that tactility anymore. We're having so much like touch interface and air interfaces with Vision Pro that there's nothing like physical as much anymore. So something like this that you literally have, like you can pick up a playlist and slide it in and it starts playing. There's something special about that. And it reminds me a little bit like there's a kid version of this basically that's out there, like the Yodo player. This has been out for a while. I did a review of this, I think, on the podcast, but Harrison has this. They're little NFC cards. They're about the size of just a regular credit card, and you slide into this little player, and it's just an NFC chip and streams a playlist that it pulls down from its servers. So nothing fancy, nothing crazy, but it works so well. And I just love the way that interaction works and that you have physical cards to load stuff up. It makes me miss, the vintage cassette players and CD players and record players and all that stuff, but it's just so well designed. They also did a fantastic job on all the artwork. Like they made their own stickers, printed out, then laminated them. They look insanely real. Like they look like they were professionally made by Apple for these little cartridges. Like I'm shocked that someone's out there like designing these, like, because there's not even one, there's like 50. There's a huge pile of these cartridges that they made, and they all look just as good. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in and make this thing, because it seems like a lot of work. I don't have Home Assistant running right now. I don't have a 3D printer at the moment. It would be a lot of effort to get all these little things set up to play with it, but I just love the idea of it. And it reminds me of a couple other similar projects that I have seen. One project that I saw was someone was making little placards for movie posters. I love movie posters. I love movies. There's so many good ones right now, like F1, taking in over 300 million at the box office, which is pretty crazy as of this weekend. But if you have like movie posters at home, they made these little placards at the bottom, like little gold placards, and they could tap their phone on them and it would immediately launch and play the theme song from that movie. I think that is super, super cool. Similarly, I saw people doing the same stuff with like Lego sets. So now you can actually add lights to Lego sets. So I've seen people creating whole automations to turn on their Lego sets. So you can have like a little, like a Friends set. I'm gesturing off screen to where I have some of my Lego sets. But like you can have like the Friends apartments there and create a little 3D printed placard that says what it is. And then you could tap it with your phone, which would trigger the lights to come on in the apartment and start playing the Friends theme song. Like, I love those little automations, but it really gets me thinking about all the things you can still do with NFC. We've talked about NFC and shortcuts in the past, and I still think there's so much to be done that I have not done, and I want to get doing more of those things. So if anyone has any other smart projects for NFC or any little automations and physical tricks like that they use, I'd love to hear them, because they're just little points of like excitement, happiness, joy, just cool little things like that I love. So please send them over to the show. Finally, I want to talk about visionOS 26. I have been using my Vision Pro for quite a while, since launch, and I still love this headset. Like, it is still crazy cool. And everyone kind of felt like Apple had more or less given up on it, which is obviously so far from the truth. And visionOS 26 is adding a lot of really nice new features. And the one that I have been just completely enamored by is the new widgets. Widgets are insanely cool on Vision Pro. Like, you can now pin these to surfaces, to walls. You can create windows that look like a window, like you're looking outside, like a round one where you're looking out of a porthole of a ship, or a big one that you're looking outside of a window at a Grand Canyon. And it's just so cool looking, and I love them. Now, Apple's stock ones right now do not have one for Apple Home. Still no support for robot vacuums, by the way. Just going to keep mentioning that. But there are third-party developers working on these. I've mentioned at least one on the show already, so I know they are coming, but I just think some of the stuff is really neat. Like, I could love to be able to look over at like the air purifier in my studio and just like tap it in the real space and have it just turn on because I have a little widget placed above it. We're getting so close to the point where we can do some of that stuff. And I know we've talked about rumors in the past of like using like air tags as these physical controls for Vision Pro. We're getting to a really neat spot here, and I think it's really cool with this smart home. So I can't wait to see what third-party devs do with widgets, especially smart home related ones, because I could see people designing some really neat little buttons or actuators to trigger some of that stuff. So just physically what they're going to look like inside of visionOS 26. So that's going to be really cool when that launches this fall. We're also getting a little bit more news on what Apple's future for Vision Pro looks like. Ming-Chi Kuo recently shared a whole Vision Pro timeline, though they're not all like Vision Pro products, just Vision products. So in 2026, well, starting in 2025, we're going to get an updated version of Vision Pro. It's set for the Q3, Q4 of 2025, and it's going to be an M5 powered version. So no hardware changes at all, except for an M5 processor. And honestly, I am good with that because I don't want to upgrade mine yet. It's expensive. I don't want to upgrade. And I don't think I'm going to upgrade just for an M5 processor. It's not enough on its own, but it's going to give this product more legs, especially with other products starting to come into the mix. So I think that makes sense for Apple to introduce a slightly bumped hardware version without having to change anything on the outside. So those that were early adopters feel safe, but now people who maybe didn't buy it right away and are still curious, now we're going to need a more powerful version, and we're going to have years of software development done on it, apps, new versions of visionOS that are even more compelling than the original version was. In 2026, we're not going to get any new Vision products. Literally zip, zilch, nada. Apple's not going to drop a new Vision product until 2027, at least according to Kuo, where we're going to get 2 new versions. We're going to get a new one that is going to be essentially like the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. It's going to be a slimmed down version of this, which I would be cool with, because I think if Apple can actually get, its assistant working, I would wear. Like I have these. I'm holding them up in the video, and they're great glasses. I like having the speakers built in, but my ears are open, and I love being able to take photos and stuff all the time. If Apple made a version of these that had the 2 cameras so it could capture spatial photos and had the speakers in there along with Apple Intelligence and its assistant, these would be easy for me to pick up. For sure, without a doubt. So Apple is supposed to introduce a new version of something like this to compete with Meta in 2027, which seems so far away. And in the second half of 2027, we're going to get the Vision Air. That's going to be a slimmed down version of the Vision Pro. So it's going to be new hardware, lighter hardware, and that's where Apple's going to differentiate these. And I don't know how Apple's going to market it specifically. So there's going to be 3 Air products in the somewhat near future. The glasses on the low end that are more just like a speaker and cameras built in there, right, and a microphone. Then you're going to have the Vision Air that's going to be lighter weight, new form factor, very similar, but probably like not as good screens, things like that. Then the Vision Pro will be on the high end. What I still hope is that the Vision Pro will still be marketed towards actual users and not just businesses. I don't want it to be just a commercial use and then we all use like the Vision Air version. I hope that the Vision Pro is still very much a consumer-focused product, but we will have to see how all that shakes out. I'm so excited about it. I don't know how many of you out there have tried the Vision Pro, let alone visionOS 26 in beta right now, because it's pretty crazy and it's really nice. So I'm always interested in what you guys have to say, so please let me know. I have a special guest, I believe, coming for the next 2 episodes if we can get everything scheduled correctly. With a shortened week this week and a baby, I was not able to get everything nailed down for a special guest this week, but 2 guests coming up that I'm excited for. So stay tuned for that. If you guys have questions at all about anything we talked about on the show, you can reach out to me. You can find me at Andrew@appleinsider.com, or on Twitter at Andrew_OSU, on Blue Sky, Threads, all those platforms. You can also watch the video version of this where I gesture wildly, hold up Vision Pro, Meta Ray-Bans, and the Middleton II speaker at various points for accent, I guess. Over on YouTube at youtube.com/HomeKit Insider. Of course, leave this podcast a 5, 10, 100-star review on your podcast player of choice. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys all in the next episode.